erased it from his memory.
How dare you?
The audacity.
No, but really, the audacity of that post.
Whoa.
The audacity of what post? Oh, wait.
One on your Facebook wall.
The Star Trek one?
Yeah.
I mean...
Which one's the Star Trek one?
So someone was crapping on Star Trek Discovery because they're like, "What? You're gonna try to self-destruct the ship? That's stupid." But they weren't playfully doing it like, like if you were making fun of that as a trope within the series. They were actually trying to make the show seem bad for doing a thing that, it's a big sci-fi trope, but Star Trek especially, it uses it as a crutch.
Just blow it up. I don't give a fuck.
And,
I was talking about the banana ramen post.
Oh, how do we? Why? Don't bring it up. I didn't want to post it. I just had a friend that I'm like, but this is your content, and she even got mad at me for putting it on her tag. I'm like, but this is your aesthetic. You can get mad all you want, but this is your aesthetic.
This is you right here.
Have I said anything wrong?
Just because it's true, it don't make it right. I mean, what? Oh, hey, State of the Nerd Union is live. What's up, y'all?
Bam, 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 bam.
I didn't know we had Beethoven up in this place.
Bam,
Can that be your nickname? Can we just call you Beethoven from now on?
One of my friends made that joke in our Discord chat, and I was like, I'll be right back. I need to go make a YouTube video. So expect some content from me in the near future.
You should use a keytar for whatever this thing is.
It'll be basically somebody working at like a DJ table, and they'll do like the air horns, but then like the air horn pitch will change into Beethoven's Fifth.
I approve.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Would watch. Well, welcome to State of the Nerd Union, where we're talking about all sorts of weird things going on in the nerd world this week. Tonight we've got Kenny and Steven here. I'm your host, Jerry. Kenny, how has your week been so far?
Been good. I watched a lot of movies. I got to get ready for the Oscars here, so I got to do Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland with Frances McDormand. I'm forgetting. It's a blur. It's a blur right now. That's why I have notes. That's why I took notes and all. So we'll get to that. But yeah, it was good. It was a good weekend. Good week.
Cool. Steve, what about your week?
It's been pretty good. What have I been doing? I'm trying to 100% Dark Souls. That's been going pretty good. I have to, in order to 100% Dark Souls, you have to collect all the rings, which means every permutation of all the rings, which means you need to play through your new game +1 and +2 and get all the rings. So I'm doing that. It's almost done. I'm trying to 100% Deep Rock. I'm almost there, and I just passed my 400th hour. So it's been good times.
My gosh. I can't remember. No, I can't remember the last time I played a video game for 400 hours. It was Smash Brothers. Which is normal stuff for me, I guess. Word. My week, we just survived a blizzard in the south, which it's not really an underestimate. We had more snow than I've ever seen in my life down here. That's not supposed to be on.
Worked it
Every show.
Sometimes it'd be like that, though.
It do. It even got worked into the notes. But yeah, so we just had a blizzard in the south that's... It did all sorts of things, and now our city's under like a boil water notice, so we've been working our way through that.
Oof, McDougal.
Yeah, but we're working it out. All right, so tonight we've got a good bit of TV and movie news and some video game news. So we're just going to jump straight into it as we learn more and more about Joss Whedon and, just everything. Harry Lennox spoke out as Martian Manhunter on some of the Whedon news this week. Kenny, do you know a little bit more about that?
Yes.
I haven't been keeping up with some of the Zack Snyder stuff.
So I mean, a lot of it. So, no, sorry. Lennox had also worked with Whedon on previous projects. He'd been on Dollhouse. Was it the Fox show, and more of just giving support. He didn't have any like a personal account to give towards it. And he talked about I guess there was a good way to say it. He didn't have a specific incidents that he could point to, but he could just talk. He talked about feeling like a second-class citizen working with Joss. So kind of like backing up the atmosphere up on the set. So not as necessarily as inflammatory. That's not a good word to say it. Not as bombshell as some of the other accounts that have come forward from the other Whedon actors and actresses that have been worked with him throughout the years, but just kind of more evidence or support about like the atmosphere he created on set was terrible before we even get to like specific incidents that happened.
Okay. Man, like it's been like this weird time of like seeing these people like, oh, I used to love these directors, and now you're like realizing they're trash, and you're like, ooh, like it's weird. It's a weird feeling to have attached to like some of their previous projects that you like a lot, and you just see all this crap come out.
Well, it's because like ultimately we don't know them. Like we just know things that they've made.
Right.
And there's like a certain amount. I don't want to get into the whole like separating artists from their art thing because it's a whole conversation to have. The long and short of it is I endorse it if that artist is dead, and I don't if they're not. But like it's really hard to work your way through that kind of thing of like you've grown to have an opinion of somebody based on what they produce, but the way in which they produce it is bad or harmful or both. So you got to kind of like figure out how to work your way through that mental detangling of thoughts.
Yeah, you're right. But that's as much as we've got about that so far. But there'll probably be more Joss Whedon news that comes out in the next like couple weeks. But some more fun news. We got some updates on Ms. Marvel, Doctor Strange 2, and Moon Knight. So we found out that Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi's longtime actor and collaborator, is going to be getting a cameo in the Doctor Strange movie, which, given multiversal concepts that will exist in this movie, it's not surprising. I have no idea what entirely to expect of this movie, but WandaVision has made me like expand my expectations beyond what I thought was going to happen, for sure. We won't go too much into that because we don't want to spoil the show for you tonight, and that's not one of our subjects. But
again, I think his will just be. I don't think he's got a large role in it, so it sounds like a Spider-Man level cameo, like like the wrestler announcer or the ticket guy that turns Peter away when he doesn't have his ticket. Or no, that's not it. He wouldn't let him in because he was too late. That's what it was. Supposed to be his ticket.
Although it'd be funny if he did show up as Ash randomly, because like in a different universe or something. But that would be dope.
Taryn says he needs to appear as Coach Boomer from Disney's Sky High.
Yeah!
What?
Side!
No, I would be 100% down with that.
Nah.
That would be, yes.
Nah.
That would be incredible.
That movie's trash. I said it.
That movie's basically a springboard for My Hero Academia. Come on.
It's true. It is a springboard for My Hero Academia, but it's also the quote-unquote Disney eugenics movie.
Yeah, there's that.
Yep.
What if Bruce Campbell shows up and he's like My Hero Academia, but he's All Might? That would. Yeah. You're thinking about it now. He could do it.
See, if they did Sky High again, I would want them basically just to do it, but like it's just My Hero Academia, but it's not called.
It's like, these characters sure look familiar.
It's like, I'm the biggest hero in the world. Big power. What's up? All of my moves are named after states. Provinces in China. Yeah.
Because think about it. The main character's superpowers are like super strength and super speed-ish things. His buddy that hates him but is also his friend has explodey hand powers.
That's true. These are parallels that you are drawing.
There are story arcs with characters who have seemingly minor powers but learn to use them in heroic ways.
Except for that kid who melts. His ability to make that person slip that one time was entirely based off of luck.
The villain is based off a figure from the past.
That is usually how Actually, everybody works. Everybody is based off of things from the past.
I'm Syndrome.
Unless you're oh man, what's that villain's name? Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, who is a villain from the future.
And the past. And just Reverse Flash is an excellent villain, by the way. He's like one of my favorite villains ever.
He's fantastic. It was me,
Why do you hate?
It was me.
What is your issue with Reverse Flash?
Okay, you know what? I'll take that back. It's more of just a disdain at Flash in general. It's just
wait, TV Flash or comic
TV Flash.
Flash.
Comic Flash. Generally, I like. There are some storylines where you're like, that's dumb.
Comic book Flash is an untouchable god who has no literary problems whatsoever, and everything's fine.
I'm just gonna go with it. I'll agree with that. Sure. Yeah. Democracy. 2 out of 3. Oh man. All right. So apparently, Ethan Hawke admitted when he joined the supporting cast of Moon Knight, it was because of something about where he's at in his acting career. It's because he appeared as a guest on The Watch, which is a podcast recently. I don't know a ton about that actually because I don't keep up with Ethan Hawke besides hearing a little bit about one of his recent films that I'm kind of interested in.
It's kind of this is not a. I don't know how to interpret this because he's not the only one that said things like this. So it's not. It's sort of a dig at Marvel, but it's not. It's like, yes, every actor that can get an opportunity to like have a role like this, get that Marvel money, get that Disney money, and be in a superhero spot. Like no one's necessarily like poo-pooing that, right? But the other part of the joke is like when he says like I'm in that part of my career, it's like I ain't got anything else going on. I guess I'll do a Marvel movie. Like so it can kind of feel a little backhanded, but I don't. It's complicated.
Yeah. Did he just do a Western or something like that?
He was in like the Magnificent Seven remake.
No.
Then there's another one he just did. I have to go. Like there's actually more. I'm not.
Oh, it's an HBO series.
Yes, that's yeah.
Yeah. Which I actually want to watch that.
But Oscar, I mean, so apparently a lot of people, like he said also in that podcast, like Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight really intrigued him. So he wants to work, like, and he really wants to work with Oscar. So, and also I would love to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's just.
Who wouldn't? Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. It's going to be wild. And Doctor Strange news some more. We found out that Danny Elfman will be scoring Doctor Strange 2, which is perfect because that movie seems... They've said I think they said originally it was kind of like a horror thematic to it, so like some kind of creepy, eerie vibe to the soundtrack could be really good along with Doctor Strange's mystical magics, hands, and such.
Yeah, I feel like that could fit. As somebody who hasn't read that much of Doctor Strange... one definitely not in recent time, but just like in general, I feel like most of the stuff I consume about Doctor Strange is like it's like Doctor Strange is helping somebody.
Yeah.
I haven't read a lot of Doctor Strange stuff, so it's like but like with the direction they're taking Doctor Strange, I feel like Danny Elfman's general vibe fits the Strange focused film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, like, he's just a good composer in general, so, like, I would trust him.
Yeah. I wonder what Danny Elfman's take on the Doom soundtrack would be. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be wild. Yes, I want to hear that. Or just Danny Elfman redoing a bunch of tracks in general.
I probably wouldn't enjoy it more than the original soundtrack, but I probably would enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Danny Elfman is really the first sound of superheroes because, yes, John Williams did Superman. Like, I'm not taking that away from him, but it's still like the processional movie march thing. Like, it's beautiful, it's great, but Elfman with Batman, I think, might have had a more impact on the sound of superhero movies than Superman. Or sorry, on the Batman. Yeah, the Batman movies in the '90s. Because you go from the Batman movie straight into the TV show. Everyone's watching the TV show as a kid, and like that Batman sound is what you think of, and then everyone is trying to like emulate that for their for the cartoons and stuff that they make. But that might be a longer conversation. But...
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like that sound definitely expanded even beyond just the Batman cartoon, because when I'm thinking about the Batman theme, at some point my brain forgets how the next part goes, and for some reason it like the horn transition flowed into Dexter's lab in my brain. I'm like, that's not how that goes. But like it made my brain's like, but these are similar, and I'm like, I guess they are similar, brain. I don't like it, but I see where you're going with it.
Welcome to music theory.
Yeah, right.
All right, we got some updates on Miss Marvel. So we found out that Laurel Marston has joined the cast of Miss Marvel as Zoe Simmer, which the official description of it is a popular girl at Cole's Academic High. Kamala saves from drowning and something of a frenemy to Miss Marvel. She's also dating the school's like it athlete Josh Richardson. I don't follow the Miss Marvel comics very much, mostly because I'm broke, but I like to see that there's progress on this movie happening. Like, I'm kind of excited about this movie specifically because I don't really have a background for Miss Marvel, and apparently her character is awesome from everything that I hear. So I'm excited about it for that reason, and I'm glad to see they're still working on stuff.
So think of Zoe a little bit like Flash Thompson is for Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like, because I think that's the thing that's unfortunate in the movies is that we have not seen the other part of Flash Thompson in the comics when he becomes more of the like. Yeah, he might disagree with Peter, but like he loves Spider-Man.
Yeah, like when he sucks slightly less.
So for just like high school character Zoe, like there's definitely gonna be parts of that. Now I don't remember as well if she does have that kind of turn like Thompson does. So I don't want to speak out and be like, yeah, she definitely did. It's like that could be wrong. So I don't want to say that for sure because that's where my knowledge also kind of drops off a little bit.
Doesn't Flash Thompson end up becoming like Agent Venom or something like that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like character progression. I like seeing that happen.
There's also a fun what if with Flash Thompson where it's what if Flash Thompson was bitten by the radioactive spider. And this is in the universe where Peter develops the webbing as he develops it, so it's non-natural. And Flash Thompson doesn't have that know-how, and basically he becomes Spider-Man and does regular stuff up until he fights the Vulture, and the Vulture just picks him up and then drops him off a building and he dies. Because he never develops the web.
The webbing, yeah. Yep. That's brutal.
Good comic, highly recommended.
Kenny, are you alright?
My brain. I don't think we're gonna see it on the Disney Plus What If show.
Nope.
Hey, it would be dope.
They ain't gonna go that dark.
It would be dope, but my gosh,
the Disney What If show. They're like, what if Iron Man was Batman? And it's just like it would be the same.
It's the same. Yeah, basically. All right, so we have some other news that Kenny's going to be really excited about. Lovecraft Country is getting a season 2 in the works currently. I'm just going to let you just geek out about that because I know that you're pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge I have not read even after watching the show, I've not gone back to reread the book. But effectively, the arc of that book was done in season 1. So they don't have any other material. So when they got done with season 1, the question was kind of like, is this a one and done? Like, is there going to be anything else happen here? But it is confirmed, like, season 2 is going to happen, and Misha Green and her team of writers are, like, trying to figure out what makes sense going forward. So we shall see. So there was no update as far as, like, what that's going to be, but it did kind of assuage anyone's fear of, like, oh, it's going to come back. We just don't know what the incarnation is going to look like yet. So yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's really exciting because like it's like Black Folk Supernatural. Like
yes.
Yes. And Supernatural's done. So like keep going.
And it just like I mean, because it's got its Indiana Jones episode. It's got its Far East mythology and mysticism episode. Like you know, we're teasing Gremlins a little bit because there's an animated series coming, but like you got some different dashes of like we're gonna tap into this mythos a little bit, and then we're gonna tap into this mythos a little bit, and not in a way where it feels like kind of like a token, like, hey, look at your thing from your culture. Aren't you glad we made a mention to it? And it's like, no, each episode that did that really did like, hey, we're gonna kind of push the main plot away for just a little bit. We're gonna narrow down into that. So yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. We got some more news on Justice League. The official release time has dropped. It'll be dropping on HBO Max at 2 a.m. Eastern time for y'all. Eastern US time for y'all on March 17th. So that means if you have to be at work at like 6 in the morning, you ain't got time to watch this movie because it's like 4.5 hours long. Sorry, but there will definitely be people who watch it at 2 in the morning. One of them's probably in this show right now. Oh, you're not doing it?
I don't like it that much to stay up that late.
What Gerald doesn't know is that it's him.
It's you, Jerry.
I don't want to watch it. I didn't like any of the DC universe enough to do that besides the first Wonder Woman.
You're up. It's you.
I'm not the movie guy on the site.
It's like one of those like statistic based like things where it's like, what is it? I think 1 out of every 4 living entities like living creatures on Earth is a beetle. So it's like, look at 3 of your friends. If none of them are beetles, the 4th, then you're the beetle.
That's funny given all the lizard folk's conspiracies. They're all wrong. They're actually beetle folk.
Beetleborgs. I'd be down to be a beetleborg.
Hey, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Was anyone else creeped out by what's his name? Flubber,
like the green slime?
No, the dude that gave him the powers. Basically like a weird Elvis blue genie in Beetleborgs.
No, it's like just the 90s were a weird time in TV. We didn't care.
Yeah, man.
Giant mecha robots and super armor on teenagers. It was cool. Whatever.
Hey, man, you want to commit some war crimes? Hot damn!
That's a clip. Yeah. So
every Mobile Suit Gundam pilot.
I'm sorry.
You're right. That's the premise. That's the whole plot of Gundam Wing.
No, but they will say
we're pacifists.
They'll say yes. They'll say something like that, and then immediately go to shop.
I think that was my favorite part of Gundam Wing is when they realized that the new robots they were making were all like dolls and they didn't have people in them. They're like, oh, these are dolls. We can just murk everything. All right, cool.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, man, I'm a pacifist. You want to see my giant murder robot?
It's literally the next scene will be them destroying like building after building, and you're like, what was all
It's
that?
like
Yeah,
it's like
that's like the oh, sorry, go ahead, Jerry.
I was gonna say it's like watching The Incredibles. Collateral damage doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, well they kind of bring it up there, but I was gonna say it's like Power Rangers. Like when you're watching like the American Power Rangers, like oh yeah, you know the Power Rangers only fight in the downtown area that just doesn't have any people in it. Like, but in when you're watching like stuff like Kamen Rider or like other Super Sentai shows, like it's like very clear that like oh yeah, like all those people that were in that building now are totally dead because there's still people continually running out of those buildings. Whereas, like, yeah, oh yeah, the Power Rangers only fight in the quarry or the abandoned downtown area that no one ever goes to.
Yeah.
Also, I guess our final derail. Was anyone else confused that Angel Grove feels like a small town, yet there is always these like I'm not saying it's like
metropolitan areas.
I'm not saying it's like the New York metropolitan area, but it still felt like something the size of like Chicago, Detroit, or something. And you're like, how? What? But I don't see anything.
Like, how big is this city exactly?
Okay, I actually didn't feel that way because Memphis is like that. So Memphis is like this big downtown area, but it actually does feel like a small town.
Okay.
I was gonna say it gives me like big DC vibes, where like there's like parts of DC that have buildings, and then there's just like other parts that are just that like appear to be largely suburban, but like technically you're in the city.
There's that too.
And I'm just like, oh yeah, like this is just like one of those places where they're just like, let's just build out rather than up.
Yeah.
Except for like right over here.
Maybe if they ever make another live-action Power Rangers movie, they'll talk about that more, because I really want a second one.
Because that one actually is, like, was it Seattle or Portland? Or
yeah, it's something like that.
No, Pacific Northwest. And
Somewhere.
It's like,
Yeah, somewhere
actually is a small town. I'm like, oh, okay. Got it.
One more derail. I want to call out that one part of the new Power Rangers film where I think it's like the Pink Ranger and the Yellow Ranger or whatever, when they assemble the Megazord, like something happens and like they like throw an enemy or whatever, and it smashes the car of like the girls that used to be the friends of the Pink Ranger, whatever. And she says something to the effect of like, "That's what you get." And I'm like, hold up, like she's actually all vindicated when like the reason that they're not friends anymore is because she betrayed her friends, and then like she plays it off like she was the victim in that exchange of like, oh yeah, like the reason that your friends don't like you is because you betrayed their trust. And then when something bad happens to them, you're like, that's what you get for being betrayed by me. It was like the one thing in the film that like that probably made me like shout in the theater, like, what the hell?
Wait a minute.
It's like, excuse me?
One more thing. No, I'm just playing. We'll have one more thing.
I also don't think that movie was that bad.
Like, it was good. I enjoyed it.
It's not. I have a ton of fun watching that movie, and I am not ashamed to say it.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a couple things to like tune up, but like, I would be down. Plus, we got the Tommy teaser at the end, so I really
I
need
forgot about that.
I need Tommy busting into the Megazord, kicking their ass out of it. Like, remember me? remember when I was that dude?
And then it goes, and then it takes a hard left and turns full Lord Drakon on us, and we didn't expect it.
Oh,
perfect.
Snap.
Like if they did that, I would just like sit in the theater afterwards and be like, I don't know what to do with life now.
And then they do the Ninja Turtles crossover.
Ooh, yeah, we're gonna have a whole thing going here. All right, getting back to the subject matters.
Regular TMNT or like the next Ooze or next generation, next dimension. I can't remember what that Fox Kids version was. With Venus.
Regular TMNT.
Regular TMNT.
Yeah, we'll go with that. All right. So speaking of old school things that we really love seeing brought back up to life, Disney Plus gave us a content warning on the Muppets episodes, and the internet is kind of all over the place about it. Internet has feelings. I haven't seen this personally, which is weird because I watch the Muppets at my house, but I'm trying to think about like what in particular of the Muppets would trigger the content warning on there, but I haven't watched those movies since I was a kid. I watched a lot of like the Muppet Christmas stuff and like Muppet Treasure Island and like Muppet Babies, which Muppet Babies is hilarious. But
so, this is, and I put an image up for folks. It's the ABC Muppets show.
Oh, the new one.
So there's it's that one that
came out
in like 2010, 2011, and that one. I mean, again, it's on network TV, so it's not gonna be like adult stuff anyway. But I think they're really giving the warning just so, like, if a parent is going to have their kids watch through the early Muppet shows and then go into that one, it ain't the same show. It does get a little more, like, adult, like, and when I say adult-oriented, just, like, a little more mature. So, again, not like heavy language or things, but just some more sexually suggestive things. So, like, if you're thinking the 70s Muppets or 80s Muppets, and you're like, oh, yeah, my kid can watch all that.
I got you.
Okay.
You know, so it is. People are freaking out. They're like, "Oh gosh, it's cancel culture, PC culture has gotten out of work." I'm like, no, it's like actually a pretty good example is kids that are watching the Spider-Man Deadpool team ups, and then they're like, "Oh, my kid can watch Deadpool the movie, right?"
They cannot.
No, because those are not the same Deadpools.
Yep.
I mean, maybe they are technically the same Deadpool, but also no.
I'm pretty sure the Deadpool in the Spider-Man and Deadpool show is aware that he's in a kids program. He's like, I'm just gonna tone it down.
Terrence said that the thing only comes up if it's on child settings, which would explain why I haven't seen it on mine yet. And that it's on the original Muppet Show because Johnny Cash apparently at some point performs in front of a Confederate flag, which I was not aware of.
Yeah, I knew it was on the new show. I did not know it was on the old show as well. But yeah,
yeah,
also,
that's fair.
Really, that reinforces my point. Child settings. So that's, oh my gosh, why? Some of the things we have to talk about. I just like, why internet? You make me so proud sometimes, and then other times.
Internet doesn't make you proud. It just makes you less hateful.
The GameStop stock thing made me proud. That was funny.
It It was funny. I don't know if it filled me with pride. I would have preferred that it filled me with money, but I wasn't. And I don't know enough about the stock market to be like, now's the time to invest. Because right after I'm like, I'm gonna throw $1,000 at this GameStop thing, let her rip. It'll be like I let it rip, and it just the stock just plummets off the roof, and I'm like, well, I should have seen this coming as a layperson who knows nothing.
I did actually make $80 in money on the stock market after that happened.
Hey. My Bitcoin is up, I think, $300.
Hey-o.
I'll be able to buy a special edition Switch pretty soon. Which,
Ooh.
Speaking of transitional segues, brings us into the Nintendo Direct that we had earlier this week. I think it was on the 17th. That sounds right. Whatever. But the Nintendo Direct is full of, it's like an hour and a half long. We can't possibly talk about everything, but we will go off on tangents and not talk about anything. No, I'm kidding.
That's what we do.
It is. But some notable stuff that I feel like we're really excited about, and you might be too. There's Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is getting an HD remake for the Switch. Which I'm really excited about, because a lot of people didn't like Skyward Sword because they did a lot of new things. They had you use motion controls to swing your sword, similar to how they did with the other Zelda that came out earlier on the Wii. Folks weren't super jazzed about it. There were a couple of like RPG elements that they had woven in, which I really enjoyed because I'm a sucker for RPG elements, even in like Flash games. If you put progression in, I don't care how much I don't even enjoy the game, I'll play it.
That's okay because he has that in the TV show too.
Yeah, right. But they added a bunch of stuff. People had mixed feelings about Skyward Sword, but if you haven't played it, you can formulate an opinion for yourself because it's coming to the Switch with an HD remake. It looks pretty good. And if you don't like the motion controls, they did mention in the Direct that they modified it so that you could play it with a handheld Switch with just the Joy-Cons, you can play it on a Switch Lite as well. What else we got in terms of Zelda? What's that? Hyrule Warriors DLC.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about that because I was like, oh cool, Hyrule Warriors DLC. I don't want spoilers because I'm not done the game yet, so I just skipped ahead. We had a teaser trailer for a new Star Wars game. We don't really know much of anything about it, just that it's like some kind of like multiplayer looking, not quite fighting game in the traditional sense, but like combat based game. I'm guessing something akin to like the multiplayer experience from like Battlefront 2 or what's that other one? Jedi Knight 2?
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know, like, because like I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't really know what it is because it's by Zynga, which is like,
yeah, right. That's already a bad sign. So
that's a red flag.
If you don't remember Zynga, Zynga is the company that created everybody's the most popular and most hated Facebook games back when people gave a damn about Facebook games. So like we were thinking like Farmville, like Pet Shopville, Chefville or whatever. I think they also made like a variation of Mafia and probably a variation of Tetris. But yeah, they're that company.
Yeah.
So it's been 10 years roughly since that age. So hopefully things will be a little bit better. Splatoon 3 is coming out.
That was pretty cool.
I've never played Splatoon. I've just never had any major interest in like arena-based multiplayer experience-focused games. Jerry, how do you feel about it?
I played a little bit of Splatoon, and I like it a lot because it's a very unique style of like arena-based shooters. Like, there's not anything else like Splatoon, and just like it's the same reason that I like would enjoy the Persona games. Like, it's got a dope soundtrack. It's a ton of fun. It's flashy. Like, everything's pretty cool going on around. Like, there's a lot of variations in like what you can do. I think it's a good game. I'm excited for Splatoon 3, honestly. I want to see... It's starting off in a really interesting way of more of like a Borderlands style setting, and then it moved into like Inkopolis. So I'm curious, like, if what story wise would be going on there. Like, are they gonna like start expanding story stuff more with that, or just whatever? But I'm excited about it. Splatoon's a really good like game series on the Nintendo's consoles. I was surprised to see that they're releasing another Splatoon already, just because I think Splatoon 2 came out. Yeah, Splatoon 2 came out on the Switch. So it's interesting to see that another Splatoon is also coming out on the Switch, like the same console.
And they just
Nintendo
had
doesn't usually
their
release same
like
gen stuff
national
like that.
competition thing for Splatoon, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's really weird because Nintendo doesn't usually do that in the same console life cycle, which leads me to some speculation that I'll talk about later in the show. But I was excited about it. I didn't expect that to be at the end of the trailer. I was like, because the whole thing was like, they were revealing all these different games, these like smaller studio games, and they never really had anything that was big besides like Mario Golf, which granted, I'm very excited about Mario Golf because it looks really fun. So they didn't really have anything huge on there, and then they threw that in at the end. It was like, ah!
Yeah. But yeah, for me, it's like it's always been hard to keep my attention for like arena-based shooters. Probably because I was only ever really, really, really good at one of them, and I felt like I got my fill of the experience, and I was like, all right, cool. I need to go back to playing RPGs now. New Smash character coming down the pipe. People are kind of 50-50 about it. By 50-50, I mean either probably ambivalent or salty. It's a character or characters from Xenoblade Chronicles. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but like
it is Pyra and Mithra, you eon.
There you go. Haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles.
So good.
But you can switch between them in mid-combat, and they have their own, movesets, all that razzmatazz. The community reception basically seems to be either ambivalence or salt, because the people who are salty are basically like, yet another sword character, and the people who are ambivalent are like, neat, another character. I am of the latter. I'm like, neat, another character. I'm hey, there you go, third category. I always enjoy, more content for games that I enjoy, and having more characters means I get to fight more diverse like folk online and that kind of thing. So I'm always happy to get more content. I'm not gonna thumb my nose at like, oh, characters with swords, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. It's like we got tweaks to Ryo and Ken. We got Terry Goodkind. It's like there's other characters. You always have Captain Falcon.
You always have Captain Falcon. That knee. I've been killed so many times with that stupid knee.
Yep, the knee of justice. But yeah, it's like I'm never gonna be mad at more content for a game that I like. Come on.
Yeah. And honestly, the thing about Pyra the Mithra is that like this is an IP that Nintendo is actually investing time into, and if you've played Xenoblade, you realize that this game is very good. Like, and yes, it's not like a classic character from a franchise we've known for a long time, but it's one of those things that I think they're trying to make one of their classic franchises. So it makes sense that they would add them, especially because in the first set of Spider Pass stuff, when the game first came out, Sakurai said he wanted to add a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 character to the game, but there wasn't enough time. Now he has that opportunity. And the switching mechanic between Pyra and Mithra is a very cool, unique addition that I'm not going to say why, because reasons. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
Nice. And last, at least on the list of stuff that we'll talk about, because there's other stuff that's in the Nintendo Direct. So if you want to see more, peep the link on the Nintendo's website. But last thing is Monster Hunter Rise, which we already knew about. Like that was coming down the pipe. I mean, the demo's been out for maybe close to 3 weeks, probably close to a month now. So we knew that was coming, but also they're coming out with another special edition Switch for Monster Hunter Rise. And it got me thinking that like Nintendo's like one of the only folks who really capitalizes on their consumers' desire for special versions of the console.
Yeah.
Like it's like every but like specific games will do like a like special version stuff. Like you'll have like a Halo version of the Xbox whatever, or like a Gears of War version of whatever, or a Last of Us version of like a PlayStation, but whatever. But like you don't see like those are kind of like one-off things of like it's there for like a hot minute, and then you don't see anybody else do it pretty much. For like almost for nearly the life cycle of the console. But Nintendo's like, oh, yo, like, bam, here's an Animal Crossing version of a Switch. Like, here's a Mario version of the Switch. Here's a Smash version of the Switch. Here's a Zelda version of the Switch. Like, here's a Monster Hunter version of the Switch. And like, I know people who have multiple Switches solely because they're like, damn, that Animal Crossing, teal and mint green just looks fresh as hell.
Tom Nook edition.
Right? And I want it.
It does.
It is. It's so fresh. And I'm a little salty that I don't have one. While I do have the economic means to buy multiple Switches, I do not have any motivation or reason other than that it looks nice and it would look cool on the shelf. Maybe I'll just take a picture of a Switch and put that on the shelf instead. But I think it's really cool that like they actually do take the effort and the time to make special versions of their Switch, and like that it's actually appealing and that people buy it. I think that's neat.
So then let me ask you about this, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about in the show that I hadn't put in the notes. How do you feel about the 4K Switch rumors that are getting more and more credence each day?
That there's going to be a Switch Pro.
Yes.
We're at a point. So had you asked me like a year ago, which I think we may have.
We kind of talked about it.
We're coming up on it.
Yeah. Because I remember ranting about this probably like a year ago. Was that there's no reason for them to release a Switch Pro because they had somewhat recently released the Switch Lite, which was doing well. The Switch is continually popping off, and like at the time, like there's just not really like a major market for Switch Pro. Now, I feel like Nintendo has become the king of indie games.
That's true.
I feel like they have as many good indie games, and probably as many garbage indie games, as a lot of other like maybe as much. I won't say as much as Steam, but because they're the one true king of indie games, the one above all of indie games.
Yeah.
But Nintendo can be the king of indie games of Mortal.
The Duke.
Yeah, the Duke of indie games. They have a super huge backlog. They have a respectable backlog of what I would consider to be high-powered, quote-unquote, strong content games. Like you have like stuff like The Witcher 3, you have Skyrim, things that I feel like unless you're playing docked, are probably running in an underpowered state. Because like I think the Switch undocked plays at 720p.
Yeah.
Which is like when I'm playing The Witcher 3 for the first time, like the whole time I'm like, geez, this whole world is just beautiful to look at. And that's probably not something that I would be completely as enamored with on the Switch playing undocked. Docked, I'd be popping. Like the same way I was like, man, Breath of the Wild is just beautiful to look at. I think that they have a backlog of enough games, like they have Doom Eternals on the Switch. Bonkers. They have enough games of stuff that I feel like, benefits from being in like 4K or, like even some expanded resolution or, just graphical update, whatever, even if it's not 4K and it's just like some kind of upscaling super version of a Switch or whatever. They have enough games that would benefit from that, where people who very much care about like graphics and stuff like that would not feel like they're missing out on part of that experience by playing it on the Switch. Because that's what I feel like is a thing that keeps the high graphics loving gamers away from those games on the Switch specifically. Is that like they're like, oh man, of course I'd love to be able to play The Witcher 3 anywhere. However, I feel like playing it on a Switch undocked, I'm not going to enjoy it visually as much, and so I'll just play it on PC. I feel like there's enough people for enough games that fall into that market of like, I want to play this game and I'd love to play it anywhere, but I don't want to play it on the Switch, that like there's reason and provocation for a 4K Switch. I'm not sure how well it would sell to the gen populace of people who already have a regular Switch and already have a regular a Switch Lite. That would be my concern, and like that's always the hang up that I come back to of like, why would Nintendo bother to make a 4K Switch? And the answer is because they could just not make a whole bunch of them, and then see how it goes. And then if they all sell out, then they'll be like, oh cool, then I guess we'll make more of these. And then they all sell out and like, oh cool, then I guess we'll make more of these. Like they tend to do with like everything else that sells like hotcakes.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my thoughts.
So something to keep in mind is that obviously, yeah, the Switch Lite sold well because it was lower priced, and it did almost the same amount of launch numbers as the original Switch did. I think it was just shy by about by about 500,000. So original Switch did about 7 million in its initial launch, and then the Switch Lite did about 6.5 on its own.
That's impressive.
Was that when it launched, or was that like from Lifetime?
That's just when it launched. Lifetime numbers are. Let's see. What do I have? This is dated. So this is dated from last year. So this does not include how many times they've sold. From
the pandemic.
We know they sold a lot during the pandemic. So at that time it was at 55
because of
million.
Animal Crossing, as we all know.
We have COVID, but we also have Animal Crossing.
So it's not inconceivable to think that while a 4K Switch probably would not going to do the light numbers just because the cost. Like I think that's easy to. Like a 3.5. Saying like 3.5 million, like. That's not a. That wouldn't be. I mean, it's not super great. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was just saying that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. It's like so. Yeah, it's not a huge amount, but 3.5 million units sold on a 4K Switch, and then maybe more people, or maybe even they keep the light and they phase out the mid tier. You know, if they're able to get that cost to be the same. If they're like, okay, we were able to engineer this to a point where we can get the 4K to run, or maybe even 1440.
Yeah,
they could at least do that. You know, I think a lot of PC gamers would be like, acceptable resolution.
I'd be like,
all right.
I'm in.
Don't what? And
what's the other meme? It's like, son of a bitch. I'm in.
And Dean says, didn't the Switch Lite come out during the pandemic sellout of the Switch? I want to say the Switch Lite came out right before that.
It was definitely out before the pandemic.
Yeah, it was.
But what Steve's saying is that. So Animal Crossing released, and it also had
Animal Crossing did come out then, yeah.
It also had the Animal Crossing console come out, and that you couldn't find that, along with just trying to find a Switch or a Switch Lite. Lights did come back in the. They tended to pop up more. So if you were like, oh, I want to hold out for the dockable, I was like, good luck.
Good luck.
You don't.
So I mean, it's better now, but it was rough.
Yeah, I'm a part of like a bunch of, well, not a bunch, I guess 2 is a lot of Animal Crossing Facebook groups, and I remember like during the first couple months of the pandemic, it was like, you know, people were like, oh man, I've been on a waiting list for 4 months to get a Switch, and it was like I finally bit the bullet, and like, you know, we masked up, and I went and waited at the store when it opened so I could get one and all that stuff. So it was like I and because of the way that Animal Crossing functioned at launch, you could only have one Animal Crossing file per console. So like parents who were playing and kids who were playing, their regular battle was parents are like, oh yeah, I'm doing this X, Y, and Z on my island, and my kid plays and they just fuck it up. So I bought them a Switch so they could fuck up their own island, and I can do my own thing.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of what folks were complaining about, and they were like, I need to get a second Switch because my family wants to play the game too, and I don't want them to ruin my island. So
that's fair.
You had a bunch of families getting Switch Lites and that kind of thing. So the reason why I asked is, was it gross or was it at launch? Was because I don't know how the Switch perception was at launch. You know, I figured it was like, oh yeah, this fills a need. If you play largely undocked, then the Switch Lite is a great tool for you to grab. But I highly expected that the pandemic coupled with the popularity of Animal Crossing causing both the Switch and the Switch Lite to like skyrocket in sales because a lot of people wanted to play, and parents and adult and kids wanted to play that game specifically. And it is just more, and like, you know, one of you can only be playing at a time in a fun way. Yeah. And it's just more conducive to just have a second Switch. And, you know, when you're sitting at home for weeks and months on end, it's just like, well, I might as well just buy one now. So that's why I asked about the gross sales over time.
Well, that's fair. Speaking of other things that are coming out that we're excited about, though, Crazy Taxi. This isn't a sequel, but there's like another game coming out soon for like all the consoles that looks suspiciously similar to Crazy Taxi. What? Have you seen this?
I have not seen this. I wrote in the notes, what? But I'm interested to see. Sus. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember the name of the game because like it's like Taxi Chaos, I think is what it's called. Yeah, Taxi Chaos. Taxi Chaos is coming out, and if you liked Crazy Taxi, this is the game for you. I have no idea if it will have the same dope soundtrack in the game or anything like that, but I was watching a trailer for this game, and it is almost point by point the exact same game as Crazy Taxi with modernized graphics, and I am here for it. Like,
well, is Sega the publisher?
No, they're not.
No, it's Lion Castle Entertainment, which I think was the studio that made Black and White.
How are they getting away with this?
I don't know.
Like I'm looking it up now, and like their whole the aesthetic of the game straight up looks like Crazy Taxi.
That's the copy homework meme.
I mean, Crazy Taxi, Taxi Chaos.
Yeah. Hey man, you can use this, but just like don't use the same name.
Father, can you hear me? Do you want to build a snowman? Come on.
I literally just watched that the other day. Yeah. It's the same, like you drive up to a spot, you pick up somebody, you cause all sorts of chaos and collateral damage on the way to getting them to their spot the fastest way that you can. Jumping off the stuff, getting bonus points for doing all sorts of weird nonsense. Like, it's the same game. Like, I don't know how it's not the same game.
That is the same game.
It's crazy, yo.
I'm here. I'm excited about it, though. Crazy Taxi is amazing. Like, if you've never played Crazy Taxi, go find an emulator and play Crazy Taxi.
No, it's on Steam. It's like $5 or something.
Oh, I didn't know that. Go download it on Steam the legit way and play it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun. The soundtrack slaps. Like if you have memories of being a kid and like being exposed to certain music straight up and down because of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yep.
Crazy Taxi is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Lindy Fitness because I played Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast before it got ported to PS2 and GameCube. So let's get it straight. That's a Dreamcast game before the
Dreamcast classic.
I guess y'all need to bust out your old Dreamcast. But you know what? I might just do that.
Play some Crazy Taxi. Slow down, whoa!
Slow down,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was playing in my head the whole time I was watching that trailer. That soundtrack is dope. See, like, this is the thing. Like, y'all, like, that's what's up. Oh, man.
Side note, when we do this video game music video series, I guess we're going to need to talk about, like, why is it that the 90s, the early 2000s had, like, the best score, like, soundtracks, and it seems like stuff's kind of dropped off.
Because that's what happened to actual music, too.
Ooh.
It's because there was a lot more alternative music in games.
Yep.
And also people were willing to one, I feel like you had a lot, like maybe not a lot more, but a couple more notable instances of like pointing to a band and be like, yo, make me a video game soundtrack. And they're like, I got you. And you ended up with some really interesting stuff. Or you just had people who worked at game companies who just listened to fire music back in the day.
That's true. Yeah, that's my biggest disappointment about the whole Daft Punk breakup now is that like they didn't ever like compose for an entire video game RPG, and I wanted it really badly.
That would have been pretty tight.
Yeah,
but you do have the Scott Pilgrim game because you have Ani Yamaguchi who
that's
did
true.
That whole soundtrack.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, like Persona soundtracks are dope.
They are dope. They are dope. I guess the answer is that we probably just like played fewer JRPGs as we got older. Because I feel like JRPGs always had fire soundtracks, but like at some point I was just like, yo man, I can't keep playing games. I can't keep playing a single game for 500 hours. Like I got these other games to play. I gotta move on.
It's like I got bills.
This game's gonna take me 80 hours, and I'm not even gonna find out what the game's actually about till 40 hours in.
Really?
See,
Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah.
Oh, Lindy Fitness, you never played a JRPG before? Man, start with Tales of Symphonia. You will not regret it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one to start with. Really good one to start with.
We like crapped on Final Fantasy 13 for being linear.
No, we didn't. Our friends crapped on it, and you and I were like, "It's good."
I said for the collective we as the community, but that's what I was about to. That's what I was about to say. Though. I was like, yeah, but the alternative is this. Is this for like there wasn't like I feel like we're getting better at mixed levels of like hours and stuff like that, or like how much you want to put into the main story, or if like open world and stuff like that. So I feel like we've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
At that. But there was this PS2 time period where it's like. Every PS2 JRPG was, give me your time. Like, but I need to play some other stuff. No, that's mine now. Like,
no.
I want to. It's like, oh, and your memory card space too. We're gonna take all that too. I hope you don't need to save anything else. Buy more memory card.
Yo, man, one of the things I love about Animal Crossing is they were just like, yo, you want to play this game? Here's a memory card, my dude. He's like, what's this for? He's like, don't worry about it. Just take out the memory card that you got in your game and just put this one in there. It's going to be A-okay.
Animal Crossing is a game that actually makes the little memory card holder in the game case make sense. We're like,
yes,
this one needs to go right here and nowhere else.
Okay.
And I was like, see, that's why they put a memory card holder in the case. It's like somebody at Nintendo knew and is like, yo, what if you wanted to bring your memory card with you to a friend's house? And I was like, why would you do that? And it's like, trust me, just put some little plastic divots in the box. It'll make sense later. And like 2 years later when Animal Crossing comes out, it's like everybody at the company is like, see, give this man a retroactive raise.
Good job, Johnson.
So you need to be making $20 an extra per day since the last like 2 years. You know what? We going to just give you a lump sum and then give you a raise. Good job. That was a moment of foresight. You really came through for the company. Kids everywhere will be thankful because they're not dropping their memory cards out their pocket.
That's a good idea. Here, Reggie, you can have a promotion.
There you go. Oh man.
Wendy Fitness says that you watched your brother play Skies of Arcadia and you're good. Woo! Yep. That's a good one too.
That's a good one.
Man. All right. Now we got to talk about games that aren't good and are trying to get good.
Hold up. We skipped the John. We skipped
Did we? That's because it's not a game. We'll go back to it.
All right.
Okay, we'll get there. That's important. We'll end on that because it's dope.
Yes, okay, cool.
All right, so Marvel's Avengers is coming out with a new DLC because, as we've talked about before, the game release was great until you finished this main story, and then there was nothing to do, and then it was trash. So they're trying to fix the trash part of it. Man. So they're coming out with a Hawkeye DLC that's going to be based off the Future Imperfect story and, like, I think the Hawkeye and the Run story. So I don't really know how this is going to go down because the villain is, like, the Hulk. But, like, the Maestro Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't really know how Hawkeye is supposed to beat that, but I almost want to get the game just to see how that's even remotely plausible.
I think this is the part of the story where they introduce Hawkeye and subsequently kill him.
Like, you know that scene in Age of Ultron where he's like, I'm just a dude with a bow and then fighting all of this, but we're going to make this work. Like, that's what I imagine with this DLC.
It reminds me, like, I probably reference this a lot, but it reminds me of, like, there's a bit from one of the comic books where, who is it? It's Deadpool and Spider-Man are, like, standing on top of a building in New York while, like, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and, like, a bunch of other dudes are all, like, fighting Galactus as, like, he's trying to, like, consume the Earth. and like what did I say? I think I said Deadpool. I meant sorry,
Deadpool, Spider-Man.
No, I meant Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
And Daredevil's like says to Spider-Man's like, "Yo, should we go help?" And like Spider-Man looks at him, he's like, "And do what?" It's like there's certain echelons of power here that you seem to be ignoring, and having Hawkeye fight the Hulk definitely seems like one of those kinds of power differentials where somebody is very much out of their element, and it's not the Hulk.
Yeah, basically. Or is it?
I mean, if it's Master Hulk, then still no. Still no.
You forgot the second part of that word is Hulk.
I mean, Maestro Hulk's arguably even more difficult to defeat than the regular Hulk would be.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what's going to happen, but the DLC content that they have planned to release is supposed to be free. So maybe this, depending how big it is, I could see them turning their game around if they keep continually releasing interesting storylines. Because thinking, for me as a purchaser, a customer, thinking about, okay, I'm going to get this Marvel game, but then they're going to keep releasing good story add-ons to it for free, which means I get more game. I could see long-term how they would turn this around and make it a good thing. But they really need to like tone down the microtransactions inside of the game.
It's going to be really hard. Like, I'm looking at the Steam charts for like average number of people they have playing the game. And apparently, in January, they peaked at slightly over 1,000 unique players, with an average like hardly over 500.
Wow.
So, and they dropped like a rock like a month after the game came out. Like it was like they started.
They finished the story.
Yeah, because they started with like an average of somewhere like around like 7,500 players, and in the following month, like that average dropped by 6,000. So, and it's only gone down from there. So, it's possible that they might scrounge up a couple extra people, but I don't think that Hawkeye's the person to do that. So,
like a Doctor Strange or something.
Doctor Strange, T'Challa, like whatever.
Scarlet Witch might be
Scarlet Witch.
Timely.
That would be well met.
A Spider-Man DLC that isn't console exclusive. Sony.
Hey, that's why I pre-planned and bought a PlayStation. I knew what was up.
No, I'm actually like whatever.
But
you
also, I've gone back and played Cyberpunk more than I have Avengers. Like, this is easy.
That's because Cyberpunk is
it is
depending
dope.
Depending on which version you own, a very good video game.
They'll fix it one day.
But like, you know, Cyberpunk has development problems in that like it's simply not completely done. Like Marvel Avengers' problem is that it's simply not completely fun.
Wow. That's going on a t-shirt.
Tara, make sure to clip that.
Yeah.
Switch.
Doug says we should have a Squirrel Girl DLC. You know what? If they added a Squirrel Girl DLC to the game, I would buy it. Like 100%. I'd be in. Like I would go to the store, buy the game the day they announced that, just so I could be ready.
Squirrel Girl is dope.
Squirrel is dope. Squirrel Girl's done like some bonkers things that like
parents
the first time I heard the first one, I was like, I need to learn about this character.
Yeah. I would buy it for us. See, and that's the other thing they could do. They could start introducing all these off-the-wall bonkers characters for DLC and stuff like that, and bring them in to this huge universe and get not only more characters that are going to be added to the movies interested in or like more hype for them going, but also for their comics. Like, this is a good way to build your base right now.
Yep. I remember like when I was getting into comics back in like middle school, high school, it'd be, you know, some character shows up in the comic book and does something cool, and I'm like, who is this? And so I'd go to the comic book store and be like, yo, who is this? What's happening here? And they're like, say no more, young blood. Read these comic books and then come talk to me next week.
And then for me, like, you know what got me really excited about characters like Moon Knight and Luke Cage and stuff like that? Playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance that first time around. Having these minor characters in this big, huge game story. And I was like, who is this? I've never seen them before. I'm going to play as them a little bit. And then they announced something else going on with them later. I'm like, oh, that's that. I want to watch that.
It's like, oh, snap.
Yeah, exactly. So I would, just keep doing that, y'all. Like, it's not lost yet. It's close, but it's not there. All right, so more things that are happening soon. Pokemon Day is this week. I think it's this Saturday. Let me check my calendar real quick because I've lost all sense of time from this week because
That's
Memphis
the
is bonkers
27th.
right now. Yeah, the 27th. So,
Yep.
27th of the month is Pokemon Day, which for anybody who follows Pokemon knows that that's when they're going to probably release like a bunch of announcements of things happening. There's going to be a Post Malone concert for some reason. We'll probably find out about what the next Pokemon game is going to be. I don't really know what to expect. There's a boatload of rumors floating around about stuff, so we'll see what happens. We'll probably get some more Pokemon Snap news. There will probably be an event in Pokemon Go if you play that. Yeah, they're excited about this. This is why you want a 4K Switch, so you can play Pokemon Snap in 4K.
Yo, if you could combine Pokemon Snap with Pokemon Go and do some like AR razzmatazz, that'd be sick.
I bet they will do that some way, shape, or form. Because there's already
I like
you
how
can
I
already
destroyed Kitty's mind with the possibility.
because you can already like transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Go into Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is useful.
That's cool.
Yeah, like that synergy already exists. So I don't know. I'm excited about Pokemon Day, especially because it seems like they're blowing up stuff this year and being like taking it seriously. It's the 25th anniversary. Pop pop.
Pokemon Yellow remake.
Oh, snap.
Ooh.
If I go to 3D Pokemon Yellow remake, what,
Well, I'll tell you.
Wait, isn't that Let's Go Pikachu?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what one of the rumors is. There's a rumor floating around that we're gonna get like a Pokemon collection of all the old, like not remasters, but like the old games on the Switch.
Oh, that would be glorious.
I would. Oh my god! I would instantly buy that. They would announce it. I would get on Amazon at that specific moment and order it.
Yo, straight up, if instead they just fused every paired Pokemon game from Pokemon's inception into one game, so that there's not a Pokemon Red and a Pokemon Blue, there's simply a Pokemon Red and Blue, there's a Gold and Silver, so that way you don't have to do stupid tedious switching over from one game and trading Pokemon over. You can just play one game and catch all the Pokemon.
But how else are we supposed to make new friends?
On the internet.
Where is our Pokemon open world game? Come on, where is it at? Where we have continents, islands.
So as with many things, whenever you're like, man, how come I haven't gotten this thing yet? There's an indie company who's doing basically the same thing with a legally distinct version of what you've asked for.
You mean Skyriders?
Is that what it's called? Is that
The one
the
that
other
looks-
Wait,
Pokemon-looking game on Steam?
There's a bunch.
I think it is
this.
Skyriders, actually.
I feel like we reported on this.
No, we reported on a different one.
Oh, a different one. Because I think
That was Anaton's.
Anaton's, right, and the art style was too close to Sword and Shield. We're like, ooh, you're gonna get sued.
Yeah, Skyrider is more like Breath of the Wild style with like Avatar: The Last Airbender elements infused into it.
I don't know if the thing I'm thinking of is Skyriders, but there's some early access Pokemon looking game coming out on Steam. I don't follow early access games too closely anymore because largely of Space Engineers. Shout out to people who bought Space Engineers before it came out, like 6 years after it was in early access. But there's a Pokemon-esque game that fits that bill, Kenny. That's coming out soon.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. So that's happening this week. EA has also done some interesting things recently, or they're working on an interesting thing. So EA has patented some technology that will allow players to do kind of something we've always wanted to be able to do. Stream. So you know how when you're downloading a game and you're like, oh, I bought this new game, and then you have to wait like 5 hours for the game to download, so you can't actually play past like maybe the first hour of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're patented some technology that's going to allow you to stream the game while it's down. So you can, this is a really good idea. Like,
that's pretty cool.
So you'll be able to download your game while you're streaming the game itself. I don't really know what happens if you stream further than you download it or anything like that.
Okay. So this will be sort of like the ready to start whenever you're like installing it, but they're backing it up on their end of like, well, we're providing you enough data from our servers so that you can still play while this is doing the download. Okay, that tracks.
That's neat.
But I want to note this is coming from EA.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, right. I know. Like it's
Like, what?
you hear so many negative things about EA that like you forget that they do still have like the power to do something that's just generally neutral to good.
It's like when General Hux betrayed Kylo.
Maybe like lawful neutral. I'd put this as lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral. That's as close as they get to good.
Yeah, that's as close as they get to good.
So I really hope that happens. That would be really great. Like that's a really solid innovation. All right, so we're gonna jump back to the thing that Steve wanted to talk about earlier, and I'm just gonna let you take over.
How's it not all of us want to talk about? What are you talking about, Jerry?
He's the most hype.
We were talking about it at the beginning of the show. I don't know if we were live yet. But if you somehow have not heard, there's a new Mortal Kombat film coming out for real this time. Because there was, if y'all remember years ago, was that the Mortal Kombat miniseries that like had like 5 episodes and then disappeared. But new Mortal Kombat film, the trailer just came out this past week, and it looks fresh, friends. Fresh.
Yes.
Like there's like video game movie quality of good, where it's like, oh, it's like good bad, where like, yes, it is hot garbage, but I love it and it's fun. Looking at you, Super Mario Brothers movie. Looking at you, Street Fighter film. Doom movie featuring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for no particular reason.
Why not?
And Judge Dredd is in there. Carl Urban, which is odd thing.
And Judge Dredd is in there. Not a video game film though. But like it looks actually good. Like we're like they did some stuff to take some like creative liberties, which I'm like totally on board with. Jax in the series loses his arms in a number of ways. Yes, brutally every time. There's really no way to lose both of your arms in combat and have it be like not brutal. But like if there's one thing that Mortal Kombat is, it is brutal. And he loses his arms in spectacular Sub-Zero-esque fashion. I think in the other series, I think he lost his arms via combat with Ermac, and then in one of the other continuities via Midway or the other one, it was Quan Chi. And in this one, it's Sub-Zero. So it's like, you know, it's par for the course of like somebody is like, oh, like you see Jackson's like, oh, you still got your arms? And he's like, yeah. It's like, wait a minute, what you mean still? It's like, don't worry about it, my dude. And it's like,
you will learn
with his arms. You're like, something about to happen to that man.
Wait a minute.
There was a I can't remember where one of my friends posted it. It was like the Michael Jordan meme where I think it was you. It was you, Kitty. It was like Jackson has arms, Sub-Zero, and I took that personally. Oh man, but yeah, the film looks really good. My only gripe about it is like as the trailer plays, they have like this really subtle orchestral interpretation of the Mortal Kombat theme. And as somebody who watched both of the previous movies and understands how impactful those films were musically for, you know, at the very least America, orchestral soundtracks are absolutely not what Mortal Kombat needs. Like the sound of Mortal Kombat is death metal and EDM. Like straight up, on one of the Black Nerd Facebook group, Jones, like somebody posted the scene in the first, I think it's the first film, or maybe it's Annihilation, where Liu Kang fights Reptile, and I think like for me, like that was the scene where I'm like sitting and I'm like watching the movie as a little kid. I'm like, yo, Mom, you gotta buy this soundtrack. I don't know where to get it, but we need to get this soundtrack because that song is fire, and like the whole Mortal Kombat album like introduced people to a bunch of different kinds of alternative music, and like it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, the trailer was dope. Like I don't know what they're gonna do about that. Maybe they'll do like the Power Rangers thing where they like throw the theme in there randomly, like they're at an appropriate time, but it'll be a jarring transition from the previous soundtrack.
I'm hoping that it'll be My only other second gripe, going back to the Power Rangers movie, was that they didn't play the theme. Like, they only played it like one time. And like,
At least they had it though.
They need to throw the theme in. It's like, all I want from the new film is I love the portrayal of Scorpion. I love Sub-Zero. Shao Kahn's in it. Shang Tsung is in it. I wonder if they're gonna have the movie be canon with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, just like the old one was. But I really, really want is for some Jean-Claude Van Damme looking dude to drop into a split and punch somebody in the testicles. It's like, that's how we're gonna know we're watching the Mortal Kombat film.
I mean, there's gonna be some level of brutal for it for sure, but yeah, Goro's in it too, though. I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. The Goro puppet from the first Mortal Kombat film was pretty dope, and now Goro's in glorious CGI.
I mean, yeah. Unless they found a dude with 4 arms, but
apparently he was. There's like a not developer. I'm so used to video games. There's a director video or a director producer, whatever, where he talks about some of the stuff that you see in the trailer. And he mentions that like the Goro was really hard for them to nail because like 4 arms just look so unnatural, and they wanted to go with like a more realistic feel, which I'm excited for. And they're also focusing on fatalities, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for them to nail down because, like, if you go a little too weird, then like Goro looks extra cartoony and kind of clunky and bizarre, more like a Ben 10 character. But I think, like, from the trailer, like, I think he looks pretty good. I don't know if everybody's seen it, folks in the chat. What y'all think? But like, I'm super excited. It looks fresh. Yeah, they did. Lindy Fitness. They did do a lot to get Kung Lao's hat right, and when I saw Kung Lao, I was so hyped. Like, ever since Shaolin Monks, like, I've like loved Kung Lao as a character.
Oh, I forgot who that. Yeah.
So funny story.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
How do you just have that on hand?
I just no.
Why is it right there?
No, I just re-picked it up because I guess something that, like, I'd had it on PlayStation, and like I'm going back through some of my fighting games, and I'm like, some of this stuff just looks better on the Xbox during that time period. So I've been trying to re-pick up the Mortal Kombat series on Xbox. So I found that one this weekend, and then like also it's just been a good Mortal Kombat weekend because trailer came out. I've been playing Shaolin Monks. It's been really good.
Shaolin Monks is one of like the best like co-op fighting games like that's out there. Like I don't think I've ever had a more fun experience playing a co-op fighting game with a friend.
Yeah.
Like, except like that's not an arcade style beat 'em up.
Like I need a sequel, or I'll take an HD remake and just put it put it on Steam.
I would gladly take an HD remake.
Yeah.
Or even just put it on Steam just to make it more accessible. Like that'd be awesome.
Lindy Fitness.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
Lindy Fitness says I need Raiden to be bad at his job as protector of Earthrealm and get more killed.
It's like the first thing all of the people from Earthrealm see. It's like, Raiden, it's like, what's happening? There's like bonker stuff going on over the world. It's like, I must consult the Elder Gods. And like just disappears.
Wait a minute. That fight between Scorpion and Sub-Zero though looks good. Like,
it looks so fresh.
It just looks so clean, so good, and I have no idea which way that fight's gonna go. Because like canonically, it can go either way.
I feel like because from the trailer it looks like Scorpion is still alive.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to bet that Sub-Zero kills him the first time in that. I'm guessing probably in that battle. Because if you look at his eyes, he doesn't have like the foggy, shadowy eyes from Outworld.
Yeah.
That he does in the original film, and I'm hoping that that's like an aesthetic that they're gonna keep because it looks super cool. But I'm guessing that he probably loses against Sub-Zero, and then I can't see them pulling in Quan Chi just so that Scorpion can like gain his Outworld devil powers or whatever the hell. They'll probably just have Shang Tsung do it, and he brings his soul back or something, and he's like, oh, also you can breathe fire and stuff now, and he's like, hot damn, I'm gonna go mess up that cryomancer dude.
The first thing I'm gonna do is kill that dude.
It's like, yeah, he killed my whole clan. Let's go. Cue, if I knew the Naruto Johnski, this would be the moment where I would do them.
It's
But
different
I-
every time.
I
Even if
can't.
you watch the same episode, it's different every time.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I'm super excited. The only holdout that I have for not liking the film as much as I possibly could is the absence of a sick death metal and EDM soundtrack. But like everything about the film just looks like it's going to be really enjoyable. So I'm really excited.
You might get one.
And
Maybe
it'll be
Elder Gods
perfect.
never intervene.
And it'll be perfect if they have Raiden fly at somebody at top speed and go.
Like, there needs to be at least some slight level of cheese that references, like, the OG games.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in Dragon Ball Evolution territory, so I think we're good.
Man, I hope not. That would,
Oh yeah.
So,
I don't need that kind of
The
hatred in my
director
life.
of Dragon Ball Evolution admitted that he didn't even he has never seen or read Dragon Ball. He was just like, I just made the movie because I wanted to make a little bit of money.
That's offensive.
It is offensive.
How dare you?
I wish I had known that. I wish I had learned that.
Yeah, my life is not better knowing that.
So one thing about the composer,
I have to know it. You too.
So again, he's worked with Zimmer a lot, but because I was giving an example of like Junkie XL, so Benjamin Wallfish is who's the composer for Mortal Kombat. I was gonna say the thing that would be closest is his sound he did for Blade Runner 2049 with Zimmer. So if he could like take that and really get into the metal with that, and like it's like don't go full orchestral, and there might be moments where it makes sense to be orchestral, and however they've shot or made this movie, but I totally agree with you. It's like if these fights are all like, yeah, we're gonna like orchestrate this entire. It's like
That ain't Mortal Kombat.
that ain't Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Lindy Fitness on the Twitch said the director for Mortal Kombat feels like he has a lot of care for the source material.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely agree. When you watch the like 10-minute some odd video of him talking about like the scenes that show up in the trailer for the film, like he really sounds like he understands the source material. There's certain points where like the seeming protagonist character, I think his name is Cole or something that you see in the trailer. He's basically just like, a character who they have there so that because like they've introduced a bunch of new characters to Mortal Kombat over the years, and in the video they play you through like a little reel of folks who have been added. So they were like, okay, cool. Like this has happened before. So like fans of the series will probably be okay with us adding in a new character because they're used to that happening. You join in and you have like that one character who is a dude in the mocap suit that they had in the game. But like he like, there's some stuff where in the interview he mentions that like, oh, I wanted to keep this the same. Because this is iconic and it's critically important to the interpretation of the character, and we felt like other stuff where like, oh yeah, we can probably take a little bit of artistic liberty here, and like because it's been taken artistic liberty with in the past, it's probably fine. And I agree. There's some stuff that looks a little bit different, some stuff looks the same, and I'm on board. We're all good.
We're excited to see the movie when it comes out. We'll have a review. Probably Kenny will do it. Or I don't know, we'll probably just like do a show and be like, Mortal Kombat!
We'll definitely be doing a review on it.
Yeah, for sure. So as far as anything else going, that's the end of today's show. Do you want to know about what else is going on this week? There's actually a whole lot of nerd news that happened this week. Kenny's going to get more into some of the movie-related stuff on his show on Wednesday night because it's just more that we can cover on this show in one night because it's already like 9:30. And that's long for us. Yeah, see? We had a lot to talk about.
10:30 for me.
Oh, snap, yeah. So Commander Ship shows on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. They're going to be talking about a lot of just movie-related stuff and some of their favorite comfort movies. So you can look forward to that. Red Shirt Rejects will be Thursday at 9 p.m. If you don't know what Red Shirt Rejects is, it's our bi-weekly...
monthly?
I don't know what the right word is. Every other week, we do a Star Trek show, and this week they're going to be talking about Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Semi-monthly?
Semi-monthly?
Semi-month? Sure.
Because bi-weekly, people
It's definitely not
people can misinterpret it to mean the opposite one. But semi-monthly cannot be misinterpreted.
That's true. Or semi-weekly?
No.
No, doesn't sound right.
You're trying to-
Anyways, so we've also got a movie club. Here at Nerd Union, we
Bye,
also
Daily.
have... Bye, Daily. Here at Nerd Union, we've got a movie club that Kenny leads. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. So, because there's been news about a remake of the Train to Busan, we're gonna be watching that along with one of my favorite Indonesian action films of all time, The Raid. And if you've not watched either one of these, they are amazing. Because they're not short, but they're just like a little bit right at that 2 hour, a little bit less than 2 hour mark. So I was like, I think we can watch two. So we're gonna watch Train to Busan first. We'll talk about it a little bit, then we'll do The Raid, and we'll talk about it a little bit after that. So this is free. We do ask, we'd love for folks to support the Patreon and help us do that because it helps us run the Discord and fees we pay there. And then if you don't have access to the movie, we will be streaming it in the Discord, but we'll also give everyone a start time of when it actually happens. So it's if you have your own copy, watch it with us, and then we'll make commentary, and then we'll also just chat afterwards. So
Yep. Support the film if you can, because it's good.
exactly.
Yes, very true. While I'm talking about this, Kenny, can you make a point at this specific moment to drop a link to the Discord into the Facebook page right now?
Aha.
So that people know how to connect with us?
I'll drop it on the, what do you call this? Twitch.
The Twitch chat? Yeah, go ahead. Appreciate that. All right, so as far as anything else that's going on, this week we'll be having some reviews for Judas and the Black Messiah, The Little Things, and did you mean to write 40-year-old version or 40-year-old virgin in this?
40-year-old version. It is a
Okay, I have no idea what that is.
It is a play on 40-year-old virgin. That is intentional. So it's a story about a black playwright who's about to turn 40 and feels like she hasn't been successful in her career, and so ends up changing career paths and goes into rap. It's really good. One, it's also a black and white film. We don't get to see a ton of those, so it's really good in that sense, and it's really fun. It's kind of like some a little bit of heavy life commentary, but it's also just really good and fun. So, yeah, I liked it.
Cool.
I didn't know where the beginning of it was going, and I thought you were like, oh yeah, she's not happy with her job, so she decides to quit and become a superhero or something. Because that's par for the course for the stuff that we talk about.
That's true. That's true.
And that's out on Netflix right now. If folks want to go check that out.
All right. As far as anything else goes, I don't know if we'll be doing any couch co-op stuff. Chris and I talked a little bit about some the Nintendo Switch stuff when we streamed the Direct happening. I don't know if we're going to be doing that on Pokemon Day. It kind of just depends on if I have time to do it or not. But other than that, we'll let you know on the Facebook page. You can follow the Twitch, follow the YouTube, Facebook, and see all the announcements for random stuff that gets popped up there during the week because that happens occasionally. So thanks for watching the show tonight, and we will see you guys Wednesday.